This is the OnePlus 11R and this phone is a prime example of how to take the right cues from a flagship smartphone and package it at a price point that no other smartphone manufacturer has been able to match for the past few months. Well, not until this phone arrived. This is the iQOO Neo 7 Pro. Hello everyone, I'm Ania for Fiiber, and in this video I will compare two of the hottest sub 40,000 rupees phones in India right now, the iQOO Neo 7 Pro and the OnePlus 11R. And come to think of it, this phone is actually true sub 40,000 rupees phone, whereas the OnePlus 11R, the top end variant of this phone, actually sells for about 45,000 rupees. So that breaches the 40,000 rupees mark. But nonetheless, the OnePlus 11R is a bestseller in its price segment, and that is of course because of its price and the kind of features you're getting for that price. But then iQOO threw a curveball, and before this phone dropped, I was expecting insane pricing, but I never thought that they would go all aggressive with the kind of pricing that they did for the iQOO Neo 7 Pro. So first up, the key specifications of both phones on your screens right now. And as you can see, these phones basically differ in their primary rear cameras. Then the 11R has faster LPDDR5X RAM, which means theoretically better memory bandwidth, although it doesn't really translate into performance in the real world. I will talk about that later. Additionally, the 11R also has a curved panel and the iQOO has a flat panel, although the iQOO does have a better touch response rate. So barring aside these differences, the hardware of both the phones is almost kind of the same. But what about the performance? Let's get the video started. As always, I turned on both devices first, and while the iQOO Neo 7 Pro was the first to light up, the 11R actually booted first. Also, since both devices are these big performance monsters at a relatively affordable price point, I have set both of them up on high performance mode for the test. Display and audio volume are set at 50%, adaptive brightness is disabled, 120Hz mode is enabled, and the battery is 100% discharged. So for those watching our battery test video for the first time, let me tell you, we do these tests by running a 2-hour YouTube video playback. We start with the YouTube video playback where we also talk about the display of the competing devices. Then we follow that up with an hour of 1080p video recording, followed by an hour of benchmarks, followed by an hour of gaming to give you an idea about the real world performance when you put load on the competing devices. And then we finally wrap the 6-hour test by running an hour of social media, that is Instagram. Okay, right off the bat, both iQOO Neo 7 Pro and the OnePlus 11R have well calibrated and bright AMOLED panels. But before I tell you about my preference, you tell me, what is your preference when it comes to displays? Do you prefer flat displays or curved displays? Now personally, I prefer flat displays over curved displays, and this is because flat displays avoid those accidental touches in the first place. And yes, I know that curved displays look cool, but flat displays are just so practical. Now, if you want to know more about the flat display versus curved display debate, then Manas has done a video on the Fiiber channels. You can definitely check that out. For now, let's carry on with the test. So here, both displays are 10-bit AMOLED panels, support HDR10 video playback, are very bright for indoor and outdoor usage, and overall quite vibrant. However, if I have to pick one between the two, and if you haven't guessed by now, I will go with the Neo 7 Pro. You see, while the colors, contrast and depth look quite true to source on the OnePlus 11R's panel, and also as I just mentioned about the vibrant bit about both the panels, the iQOO Neo 7 Pro takes that vibrancy onto another level. Out of the two, in my opinion, the iQOO Neo 7 Pro's display is surely the more visually appealing. Rest, the result is on your screens. You tell me which one looks better to you. For now, I will fast forward to the 2-hour mark, and the iQOO Neo 7 Pro is off to a flying start. It is currently leading with 94% battery left, while the OnePlus 11R has 87% battery left in the tank. So it is now time to record an hour of 1080p videos on both smartphones, and while the devices here do the recording, here are the camera specs of both phones on your screens. So barring aside the primary camera, both the iQOO Neo 7 Pro and the OnePlus 11R have the same camera setup when it comes to megapixels. So the Neo 7 Pro has a 50 megapixel GN5 primary OIS camera, while the OnePlus 11R has a 64 megapixel IMX890 primary OIS camera. Other than this, both phones have an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, a 2 megapixel macro sensor, coupled with a 16 megapixel selfie snapper at the front. In terms of video recording also, both phones can shoot up to 4K 60 FPS videos from the rear camera and up to 1080p 30 FPS videos from the front camera. So here are some comparison shots for you to check out. Now to know more about the full camera performance, our OnePlus 11R review video is already live on the channel. You can check that out, and the iQOO Neo 7 Pro review is also in the works, so stay tuned to Fiiber for that. For now, we have completed 3 hours into the test, and the iQOO Neo 7 Pro is still leading with a 73% battery left right now, while the OnePlus 11R has a 67% battery left. So now it is time for benchmarks, and we start with Geekbench 6, and this is probably the round where the high performance mode will directly come into play for both these smartphones. Now in terms of hardware specifications, both phones are powered by the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 chip. The iQOO Neo 7 Pro has up to 12 GB LPDDR5 RAM, while the 11R has up to 16 GB LPDDR5X RAM. Both phones have up to 256 GB UFS 3.1 storage. So on Geekbench, the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 is a proven chipset, and the results from both phones are right up there, neck to neck, no compromises made. Now on to AnTuTu. Once again, both phones gave a solid showing. Breaking down the scores, the iQOO Neo 7 Pro posted a solid overall number for sure. But what is more interesting is the higher CPU and GPU numbers on the Neo 7 Pro, which also shows that the optimization is slightly better on the Neo 7 Pro. Surprisingly, the MEM score is better on the Neo 7 Pro, whereas the faster standard RAM, that is LPDDR5X, is present on the OnePlus 11R. So that one should have posted the higher number. But yes, the iQOO Neo 7 Pro posted the higher MEM score here. Now on to 3D Mark, I noticed that the iQOO Neo 7 Pro faced some difficulties hitting the higher FPS, because in the real world I had no issues whatsoever while gaming. But anyway, for the scores, while the average loop score is high on the OnePlus 11R, stability wise it was the iQOO Neo 7 Pro's 95% score, which showed a consistent hold throughout the 20 loops in the 3D Mark test. Finally, in the CPU throttling test, the OnePlus 11R posted a better 95% score versus iQOO Neo 7 Pro's 85% score, which is still very good. However, when it comes to the average chips, the Neo 7 Pro's score was significantly higher. Here's a quick breakdown of the benchmark scores of both phones on your screens right now. You can pause and take a look. Now before I give my 2 cents on the gaming performance of both phones, let me tell you that we are done with 4 hours into this test, and the iQOO Neo 7 Pro is still leading with 51% battery left, while the OnePlus 11R is trailing at 42% battery left. So as you all just saw in the benchmarks round, both phones posted solid scores through and through, and the numbers actually translate to solid real world performance as well. Now you already know about the 11R's great performance, something that we have also noted in our review as well, but the Neo 7 Pro is also no slouch either. While playing Asphalt 9 in real time, I did not notice a single frame drop or stutter on either phones. Now since I had been putting so much load on both the phones continuously, the phones did get a little warm to the touch on the screens, but what really works in iQOO's favor here, and I'm talking about using these phones generally too, is the faux leather back. You see, while putting excessive load, both phones can hit about 40 to 45 degree battery temperature and about 50 to 55 degree CPU temperature. However, since the 11R has a glass back, you actually feel the heat when the phone is under load. But for the iQOO, load or no load, the phone's back barely gets warm. And as I said, the faux leather back plays a big role here. So right now we are a little over 5 hours now, and the iQOO Neo 7 Pro is still leading with 35% battery left, while the OnePlus 11R is trailing with a 26% battery. With that, it is now time to run an hour of social media. So quickly, I will fast forward the video to the 6 hour mark from here, and as expected, The iQOO Neo 7 Pro finishes as the winner with 26% battery left, while the OnePlus 11R finishes with 17% battery left. Here's an hour by hour breakdown of the battery drain of both phones on your screens right now. So looking at this chart, in almost all rounds, except the video playback round of course, both phones performed similarly when it came to the battery drainage. But I would definitely add here, and not just basis on this test, but generally what I noticed. So if you're watching a lot of videos and media consumption is your thing, then the iQOO Neo 7 Pro will give you a better endurance in comparison to the OnePlus 11R. And overall, both phones are high performing smartphones, but for the better thermals, the practical and more visually appealing display, and of course the better pricing, I think the OnePlus 11R should definitely be worried of the iQOO Neo 7 Pro. Especially considering that you can get the iQOO Neo 7 Pro with card offers and discounts applied at a Best Buy price of about 32,500 rupees, which is still 6,500 rupees less than the price of the OnePlus 11R. So that is kind of insane price to performance ratio. Rest, that was the video guys. What are your thoughts about this one? Let me know everything in the comments below. And as always, for all the latest in tech, stay tuned to Fiiber. I'll catch you all in the next one. Thank you for watching.